Hi everyone, welcome to the Canada Galaxy Pageants Q&A and Get to Know the Queens. We're going to bring in our 2020-21 queens and we're going to have a little catch-up sessions with them. I know it's been a while and they're already here. Let's go welcome them. Hi everyone!
Hi.
Hi. It's so good to see you all. I'm so excited that you're all here. Thank you so much for joining us. I do have a couple of questions to go through here, but before we do, we're just going to highlight each one of you and introduce yourself as if we don't already know who you are. So we'll start over here.
Hi, I'm Kylie and I'm your preteen queen.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Min and I'm the junior.
Hello everyone, I'm Chloe Arsenault and I'm your Miss Teen.
Hello, I'm Anmol Minhas and I'm your Miss Queen.
Hi everyone, I'm Regine and I'm your Ms. Queen.
Hello everybody, my name's Denise Garrido and I'm your Mrs. Galaxy Canada 2020-21 because it's just easier to say that.
I was trying to get them to not say Canada Galaxy because we've been hearing it so much, but we did. When you have a title for about a year and a half, it gets kind of, you're so used to you're saying your name and your title, it just goes along with it. So I can't imagine, when your year is over, how you're going to introduce yourself to everybody in your everyday life. Oh, I do want to make note that little Miss Kinsley is not here. She couldn't fit us in her schedule. She's extremely busy. So Kinsley, thank you. I'm so sorry that you can't be here with us today, but I tried to fit you in here or me into your schedule. So hopefully you'll pick up my calls next time. I don't know, so famous, everyone. Okay, so I guess this number one question we always get a lot is, what has been your favorite appearance or volunteer event?
I would say that my favorite events that I have done are the parades, just because it's so fun to be able to go and there's a bunch of people there and it's just a really fun experience. You get to meet a lot of people and it's just great.
Last year, it was really fun seeing everyone. It was before COVID and everything. We saw each other at the Sweet Diva pageant. That was really fun. But recently, yesterday actually, I was able to go to Ottawa for protest, in which I was protesting for the civil disobedience movement, which is happening in Myanmar.
One of my favorite appearances that I was able to do pre-COVID was the Superheroes for Little Heroes. It was so cute. I got to see the whole tactical team going down the hospital. So the event was to make fundraising towards Neo Kids Foundation, which is really huge here in Sudbury, and it was super fun. I dressed up as a superhero too, so I think that was probably my favorite part. And most recently, I was actually a judge for a pageant, and that was really cool to see a different aspect as not being a girl who's competing, but to see kind of the hard job that the judges have. So that was really cool to see the other side.
I think in 2020, my favorite appearance was more related to going into events. So one of the things I thoroughly enjoyed was tree planting event that I attended in Surrey and helping the community out there. And recently, few events that I'm doing is more based on donations. So I'm closely working with the Calgary Food Bank, and I'm really enjoying helping out, going into different communities, just donating wherever there's need.
So my favorite 2020 event would have to be when I went to an all-girls school here in Toronto and did an uplifting talk with two classes. It was just great to see how the girls were from the beginning, where they were very shy and timid, to very outspoken and not wanting me to leave. So that was very impactful in my life, I would have to say. But then most recently, I actually had the opportunity to MC the International Women's Day event with our Mrs. Galaxy Canada, Denise. And it was just so great to, not only do a virtual event with my sister queen, but also get to hear and listen to all of these wonderful women, listen to their stories, and listen to the new charities that they were talking about.
So then I see them both there side by side, nodding. You both at the same event. Denise, was that your favorite?
Yeah, actually, for my 2020/2021, because everything kind of shifted more to the virtual world on my end, it was really fun. I felt like we were a great like 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
It was good. And then there were times like during the event, because we were messaging each other back and forth, because you're not there live, so you still have to be in touch, so that way there's a good flow. You don't get these big pauses and glitches along the way, like, oh, are we still waiting for results? And like she would say some things and like I'm trying to hold in the laugh. Like, oh, it was so much fun. I had a really good time with that. And and so for my 2019/2020 appearance, it was definitely the in-person appearances. And my focus at that time was going into like the different shelters, family shelters, and doing events there for all of these children and families that, for that day, that afternoon, were able to bring smiles to their faces and make them feel very special. So those were my memorable experiences.
For me, it's been quite interesting watching you all become so creative with your different style of appearances that's been going on. And I'm a little sad because I wish you could all do more in-person events, and you've done such an amazing job throughout your reign. And I just know that like it's just not the same, but I commend you all for all your hard work that you've been doing during this past year, because it's not easy and you've all been so creative, but it's been so inspiring as a director to watch my queens still work just as hard as they were before. If some of you were questioning when some of the queens mentioned 2020, they've actually have a 2-year reign. So their 2020 reign was when they won from September 2019 to September 2020. And then their 2021 reign was from September 2020 into now until they pass on their crown. So they are probably going to be the only queens who will have a 2-year reign. So for all the future queens out there, I know you will have a difficult time passing on your crown, but you're going to have to. These 7 over here are going to be the only ones that get to have that extra extended year. So I'm jealous because I remember how hard it is for me. Like I didn't want to give up my reign, and I know last year's queens did not want to give up their reign, so they're probably really jealous. So we have some questions here. I guess it's kind of not pageant related in a way, but it asks, if you weren't interested in pageantry, what would you be doing?
It's very hard to say because, it's almost like if I were to plan for all these alternate realities that would happen simultaneously, because so many of the things that I've ended up doing is a result of the one step of the first pageant I took, which led to the domino of then something else, to even the fact that like I have met my husband, and now like, my entire life is as a result of like all of these choices that I've done in the past. So to say like, what would I be doing now? I have no idea, because I probably wouldn't have even met Scott. And then that means I wouldn't have met Theo. It would have been a very different life. I don't even know what that would look like.
So Denise here probably has one of the most amount of extensive pageant experience compared to like, even she was doing pageants before I was doing pageants. So it's insane to see that. And I know Regine probably has the second most amount of pageant experience within the group here.
Yeah, I've been competing in pageants for over 10 years. And I was just going to piggyback off of what Denise was saying. Like a lot of the things that have happened in my life came from pageantry. I'm an event planner, but that only sparked in me because of all the events that I was doing during the beginning of my pageant career. So to answer that question, I have no idea what I'd be doing. If it was up to, or if it was based on what my life was back in 2009, I mean, I'd probably be in ECE, early childhood education, because that's where I was at for school. But I don't know.
Kylie, as one of our youngest queen here, and I know that, well, it would have been Kinsley if she was here, but again, too busy for us. So you just got pageantry into your life recently. So do you think you would do anything differently with all your community work if it wasn't for pageantry, or would you still do just as much if you weren't in pageants?
I would say that even if I wasn't in pageants, I would still be doing a lot of community work. Maybe not as much, but I would say I would still be doing a pretty fair amount, seeing as before I did pageants, I was already doing lots of charity work and even had my own charity. So I think I would still be doing a lot, even if I wasn't in pageants.
And I don't know if anyone noticed this, but Kylie got a haircut. She looks so good. She looks so much older. How old are you now?
Well,
Oh my gosh. I remember when you were so small and almost my height. So
She's probably taller than you now.
I'm still the shortest person in the entire group. And it's going to be this, no,
Kinsley.
Kinsley. I don't know. The rate that Kinsley is growing, she's definitely going to be surpassing me really, really soon.
I'm like 4'9". There's no way.
I'm only 5'2".
I don't even think I'm cutting the 5 foot mark.
I feel like I'm always so short. It's the same thing with the 2019 Queens too. I would stand beside them and I'm just sitting here like the same height as all the junior divisions and I'm so short. So I just wear, those tiny laundry 6-inch heels for me to come close to what you all see above there.
Liz's shoulder.
Oh my gosh, let's not got into, like, Liz was so tall. Okay, so another question is, if you could be one Disney princess or character, which one would you be and why?
Oh gosh.
That's a tough question. I haven't watched Disney princesses in a while.
Okay, if not Disney princess, any Disney character.
Any Disney character? Oh God. I feel like I'd have to bring it to a Disney princess just because it does kind of relate in a way. Who I really feel like I could be, what I like is Tangled. She's very like a free spirit. And I love, like, I find myself too, like I'm not afraid to go chase my dreams. And she does that. She wants to escape and explore. And I believe personally, I relate to her because I love trying new things and exploring new grounds. So for me, if I had to be a Disney princess, I'd have to bring it back to that movie.
That's so funny that you bring up Rapunzel and Tangles because isn't Rapunzel's kingdom called Corona?
It is.
That's been the big correlation of like, oh my, did you know the name of it and all that stuff? So yes, it would make sense right now, especially. And Miss Nicole here, I don't know if you're a big Disney fan.
I always really liked Ariel, and when I was like probably like 8 or something, I was always begging my dad to get me a mermaid tail. I was just, please get me a mermaid tail. I just want a mermaid tail. I want to be like Ariel. I like swimming recreationally. It's just something fun. So I guess being Ariel would kind of be fun.
And Enma?
For me, I think it would be Mulan. I recently watched that movie and I was in love with it. I feel the 3 oaths that I think it was be true to yourself, have courage, and family or discipline or something. And I think that it works really well in my life because I'm very principled and I value my family a lot. I value my roots a lot. So yeah, I think for me it would be Mulan.
Obviously, I'm super biased and I say Mulan as well, but that's just that's just me here. She was the only princess that wasn't looking for a man, and she was doing it for herself, and she looked like me, so that was someone that I was able to look up to. I'm going to divert some of the questions over to competition wise. So we are also preparing, not me, you all are all preparing to compete at internationals in August, and so are our national delegates who are also going to be competing in August as well, but about 2 weeks after us. So one of the questions that we've had here is, what do you do to prepare the day before the pageant weekend? So what did you all do the day before you had to compete at nationals last year? Yeah.
Okay, so for me, because I already competed in 2019, it was more so, when it's your first time, you have no idea what's going to happen. And I was on that boat. I'm like, do I have enough food? Make sure you have food. Do I have enough food? Do I have enough outfits? Do I have enough of everything? And so going into the 2020 pageant the night before, I made sure that I had enough snacks, had enough food, had enough water. Make sure you have water because you need to stay hydrated. And I made sure that all my outfits were put together. So I made sure that all my jewelry for opening number was together, all the shoes, accessories, everything. And I did that for all of my outfits, all of the segments. And I just tried to make sure that I was as organized as possible. And I slept. I slept because you're not going to sleep that weekend.
If you are prepared, then you give yourself that peace of mind. And that way, the day before, do everything you can to just, you know, build up that energy, like get your rest, because once it starts, adrenaline is going and you probably naturally just won't sleep anyways. So just be as prepared, like organize your outfits, organize your snacks. I'm like OCD. I get hangry. Like if it's too many hours, I'm like, okay, where, like I need food now. So just like my snacks, like my water, and obviously like baby stuff as well, prepared. But once everything's prepared, then you could actually just be able to relax a little bit and be in kind of a state of mind of just of now focusing on, okay, so what's going to be expected of me now, and being able to just focus on the competition and not on those little things, because don't waste the energy on the little things. Get that prepared in advance, so that way you're setting your best foot forward once the time comes.
This next question, I'm going to direct it to Kylie and Chloe. How did you prepare yourself before your interview time, and what do you suggest others to try and do before their interview? And I'll start with Kylie here.
So before my interview, I didn't know what to expect because I had never actually done a proper interview. So I was kind of just sitting there panicking, just trying to practice last minute, get some last minute questions in, and just made sure I knew what I was doing. Kind of just run all the questions through my head and made sure I knew how I was going to answer. And that was basically it. Just kind of last minute preparing while literally waiting in line to go in.
And for Chloe, what did you do?
Actually, I prepare for interview almost like for a while. I have a pageant coach named Joan Hart, and I would go over pretty often, and we would do like mock interviews, and it's really good to practice. That way you are ready to speak on the spot, because that's, I think, is the most important part in the interview. Is you must be able to speak, and you need to be able to run your sentences that make sense. So you need to start, you need to develop it, you need to finish your answers. What's funny about my interview for Galaxy, I was actually ready to go in, and then all of a sudden I remember Alexis coming, and she's like, "Oh, the judges are ready for their 5-minute break," and I was just about to go, and I was like, "Oh." And then that's when the panic mode started coming in, because I was ready to go, and then I was like told like it's break for the judges. So it's kind of funny because I stressed myself out, but all in all, I was ready because I put in the effort and the time.
That's really good. I think people sometimes forget that there are some small individuals that can just jump into a pageant and not really need that much time to prepare. But just as if you were to prepare for a job interview or to do your exam, you would always try to prepare yourself just beforehand. So I would also recommend you just having a better idea of what you want to say into your interview and how you're going to say it. And that usually takes a bit of practice. So I would recommend you to start your interview practice, I would say now probably is a good time instead of closer to the date. Another pageant related question is, I'm going to direct this over to Nicole and Edma. Nicole, how do you push away the thoughts of self-doubt?
Well, I just have to focus on like what I have to do. I have like my mom, my sister, and my dad supporting me behind making sure that I'm in the right mindset. I put myself in the right mindset. I have so many people supporting me. My goal in going into a pageant is trying to have the best experience possible, not trying to be better than someone else, not trying, oh, I need to look this certain way to do this certain thing. Just making sure that I'm in the right mindset and that I'm going to be prepared.
I forget that you're so young and you're so well spoken. Gosh, you just make me feel a little embarrassed. Enmal, same question to you. How do you push away self-doubts?
Personally, for myself, I love me. I'm completely obsessed with myself. And every time I'm going into any situation, there's a mantra I follow, which is either I would succeed in this or I would learn and succeed the next time. So self-doubt is something that's very common. Everybody gets it. But like if you go with the mindset that I'm just going to enjoy and have a good time, then no matter what the outcome would be, you would be satisfied because you gave your 100% of an effort into it. So yeah, just love yourself. I love me. Like no matter what happens, I'm just going to be happy with me.
I agree with you. I love myself too. And I think you should. I think that's one of the biggest thing into your self-confidence and your self-esteem and your self-love is to be able to start accepting oneself and be able to love that. And there's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself. So I know that as women, we were told, you might want to take that back a little bit. You don't want to be too much. No, you can be because that's who you are. And you just got to be able to start accepting that. And I think that's a huge, huge advice to take from Emma over there. We're going to move on to our next question here. And it's interesting because I don't think I've had anyone really ask this question is, what do you think as a queen is the most underrated and overrated part of the pageant?
I think that probably the most overrated part of the pageant is the competition itself, because everyone's just like, oh, look at them on the stage. Look, that's so easy. But they don't realize that to get to those 30 seconds that they're on stage are hours and hours and days and months and years of training to perfect their skill to accumulate to that moment on stage where everyone's just like, wow, it's so effortless. But it's not effortless because you don't see all of the time and effort that went into getting to that moment. So I think that's probably the overrated, because people see something, they're like, oh, well, some people are just born with it. But no, you have to put in the effort to get to that point. And then probably just inverse relationship to that, the most underrated part of it is the preparation you need to do to get to there. So, oh, I'll deal with it next week. Oh, it's still months away. But the thing is, if you don't start putting in the time now to start practicing your interview or your walk or whatever it is, it builds up over time. And so every little step that you could take towards practicing is going to build up over time. So underrated is definitely the preparation, I think. Just taking the time, don't cram it. You're more likely to retain information if you're doing a little bit every day. That's how you build a new habit. And then the overrated is those last seconds on stage, because everyone's like, oh, see, wow, so wonderful. But you don't see all the work that went into that.
That's very true. I think, raise your hand here in this group if we've all experienced that, where we did our first pageant with no preparation, or we kind of just thought, oh yeah, I got this in the bag, and just go to the competition with no. I think my first ever pageant, I was just thinking, oh, I'm pretty. That's enough. I can do well. And I remember showing up and realized I'm not even going to make top 20. This is definitely not everything that you need to beforehand. So I've been, that's great advice there. And there's definitely a lot more resources now to get you to that level that was not there beforehand. Fire questions we're going to go through by each division here. And I just want you to say, what is your favorite, I think it says favorite gear or accessory that you feel like you must have at a pageant?
Well, there's obviously like a lot of things you need, but I always like earrings because they just make everything look so extra. And especially when they're like big and they've got all the diamonds, it just puts an entire look together.
I agree with Kylie as well. I love earrings. I have like a whole big box of just like 100 pairs of different earrings. And it's just like a great way to accessorize and add to your outfit.
I feel like my must-have is the same as Cindy's. Since I'm 5'2" as well, I need the big Chinese laundry heels because, I mean, most of the girls are pretty tall. And when you get there and you're like, they're in my division and I look like I'm in the junior division, it's a little tough, but I feel like once you get that walk down pat with those heels, there's nothing that can stop you.
I feel for me, it's also earrings, but since it's already said before, I would go with the necklace, because if not earrings, I definitely need a statement necklace to make the whole outfit put together.
Okay, if we're talking accessories, I would definitely have to say a nice necklace. Denise, I know you're with me with this. But one thing all of you, no matter what age category you're in, double-sided tape is my go-to for pageants. Double-sided tape, bobby pins, and hairspray. I'm done. Thank you.
Concise to the point. I love it. See, when you asked that question, my brain went to, if you were on a desert island and there's nothing else that you have to glam yourself up, what would you take? And so my brain went to lipstick, because lipstick, if there's nothing else, you could at least have that pop of, bright lips. And then you could, depending on the color, you could even double up as a little bit of blush. So I feel like with lips, you can just, you can all of a sudden look glam with like a lip. So for me, lipstick.
Actually, okay, I think I'm gonna ask one more question. What is one thing that you were able to achieve being a queen and couldn't do when you were not a queen? That's an interesting question there. So I guess if you were a title holder, has it given you any doors that you were able to open that weren't there before? I see Denise nodding her head over there.
Yeah. A lot of my different special experiences in my life were because of pageantry, whether it be different charities around the world that I've been able to go and participate in, or even hosting an international event. It's because of my, because of pageantry and because of having a title. Like the charity specifically, it was the one that I went to in India, and they wanted queens to help promote this charity in India. And because there's something, it turns people's heads, it draws people's attention. And so they're like, do you guys want to come? We're looking for 6 international queens. And so they flew us to India to help out with this charity for 2 months. It was absolutely amazing, but it's because of the title.
And Enma?
I think for me, the biggest impact is we are who we are, regardless of if we are a queen or we're not a queen. But I think being a title holder, what it does, it gives you the power to impact on a larger scale. It gives you the opportunity to like empower people around you and have a bigger impact, which in a way, title really helps you get there. So I've noticed personally for myself, ever since I became a title holder, when I said something, it had a more powerful impact and people wanted to listen. So I think that was one big takeaway for me.
For me, with my title, it's actually given me the confidence to start my own podcast. I was a co-host. I co-host events, co-host Scott Dion Brown's podcast. But because of my title, it gave me the confidence to start the pageant sit down and do things on my own. And like Denise said, a lot of things that happened in my life came from the opportunities that came from my pageant journey. So for all of you who are watching, this is just the beginning for you. The door is going to open and you're not going to know which one to enter, but just embrace the journey that you're going to be on.
I have to agree with Amal on this, because I think the most important part is that we have a voice and we have that opportunity to empower people. And as a queen, when you walk into a room, you command the room. Everyone wants to hear what you have to say, and they listen to someone because you have that power, you have that opportunity, and you have your voice. So being able to use my voice towards my platform, which is women in trades and working in a field that is male dominated, really shows to me that I have an opportunity to be someone, a role model to young women trying to figure out what they want in life, and especially girls who are afraid to go into the path that I love just because of the stereotypes. So for me, is having this voice has been the most amazing part.
I'm able to grab attention so much more easier now that I have my title. I have people who just want to listen because they know that I have done pageants. I have so much hard work behind my title. They have that motivation to in their head that says, hey, this person, what they're saying is important. And I'm able to use that as an advantage to spread messages, to use my voice so that more people can hear me.
I'm going to have to go with what a lot of my other sister queens are saying. And that is that having a title gives you a bigger platform and gives you a voice to say things that obviously, if you didn't have a title, you can still do things, but the title gives you more of chances to accomplish things and get out to a lot more people.
And to all the national delegates there, just because you don't have the crown just yet doesn't mean that you don't have the same amount of power and voice that all the queens have here. It's up to you to decide how you want to use it. And for those who have been using it, I've been extremely proud of you to be able to take this platform and be able to express the things that you want to express. For those of you who are still working on that, it takes time. It's not an instant thing where you get a sash on and all of a sudden, you know, you have all the confidence in the world to say what you want to say. I do know that everyone's experiences are different, their own personal as well as their own trauma. So not everything needs to be spoken about. But when you do finally get that courage and the strength to do so, please take that opportunity. We need to get rid of the stigma that pageant girls aren't, we're not voiced, and we don't want to talk about controversy, or that things are too political that we can't talk about it. Yes, we can. We are very smart. We are very capable of doing everything that people think that we can't do. So I do encourage you all to be able to speak up and when you can. That concludes our little Q&A here. Thank you all so much for joining us. Queens, thank you all for being a part of this, and I cannot wait to see you and hug you very, very soon. So one last goodbye to everybody.
Bye.